I'm KC.
And I'm Tyler.
And you're listening to
the Element Podcast
and YouTube channel. What is happening, all you whiz people? Tyler wants to have conversations off the podcast, but we having conversations on the podcast because that's what podcasts are about. Just talking together. It's me and Tyler and you, but you can't talk back to us. That's okay, though. We love you anyways. This podcast is brought to you by First Light Gear. Right now we're watching a video of Tyler hunting mule deer in the middle of the Andes Mountains. Is that what this is?
Yeah, in the middle of Andes, really in the middle of nowhere.
And he's wearing some First Light.
Well, you know, one thing I like a lot that I found out this week that First Light does is this thing called Kit Link.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wearing some jackets that might be, like, not available yet.
Yeah, you may see them soon.
For peasants, you know. But but the Kit Link is legit. It's a thing where, like, they had this, like, I can't really talk too much about it, but it's they have it on.
I don't think Kit Link is new.
No, the Kit Link, but I can't talk about what this is proprietary. The way this works.
That's
right. So anyway, but you stick your hands in these like pockets under your pockets, and it goes into the pockets. The source. If you have a source jacket on underneath one of these like bigger like Sawtooth type jackets, and you put your Kit Link hands into your source jacket on the inside, it is the warmest place on earth.
You know the one that's like the Super Source?
Yeah.
That has very comfortable Kit Link.
It
like
does.
It's like
it does.
It doesn't fit like you know how like on those, for instance, you got to stick your hand through zippers and it kind of hurts when your hands are cold and dry.
Yeah.
Slipping them in through that soft stuff.
I know,
baby.
It's good, man.
It's nice.
Y'all are gonna see some cool
y'all gonna
stuff
like
coming out.
it. It's gonna be good.
Anyway, we're out again, middle of nowhere, just not the Andes Mountains this time. We're here in Texas, and we're hunting a lease, KC. And there's some newfound friends of ours on this lease.
There are, man. We got
today.
a couple new buddies, as you'd say.
Nutties.
Hey, they're new buddy.
Nutties.
Nutties.
They're a little nutty.
JP France, Houston Astros pitcher, right-handed pitcher.
Yeah.
Which matters because that's how you decide what.
Dude, if
what's
there's
his
ever
shots gonna
been
be like.
a right-hander that looks like he should be left-hander, it's JP.
Dude,
man.
I'm telling you, he reminds me so much of Wild Thing off of that movie. What was that movie called, Eric? Major League.
We should have had Eric on this podcast, man.
Well, we can plug him in, can't we? And just turn him on.
We could.
Can you do that mid-thing?
I don't know if we can mid-thing, but, you know, we can. There you are.
I'm here.
Eric's back. So Eric said,
who's back?
Major League. If you have baseball trivia, Eric is on top of it. But JP France is here.
Yep.
And he looks like a left-handed pitcher, but he's a right-handed
The
pitcher.
stash.
You'll probably hear from him later.
Specs.
And he's got a custom bino harness leather plate thing on the back that has like Houston Astros and his – you wouldn't say it's his face, but like he has glasses and a mustache. It's kind of like his signature look.
Yeah.
And he's got like somebody made a leather thing for him for that.
It's pretty cool.
I'll take a picture and put it on the story.
That would be cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
people would like that, I think. And then a completely different guy named Leigh McNasty or Leigh McClendon, depending on how you know him. He is I wouldn't call him a social media influencer, but he's like social media famous. He makes funny videos on social. But he likes to deer hunt a whole lot. He's from Louisiana. Both these guys are from Louisiana.
Yeah, that's
And-
weird.
Yeah. And so it's like we kind of got like this whole thing where we're just trying to just fight off all that nasty that comes to Louisiana around here whenever they're here.
It's constant, man. These boys, they dirty swamp. Well, we had a guy on at SMU when I was there, and he was the only white cornerback on the team at SMU. I don't know if he ever actually played a down of like cornerback position. I think he's in special teams a little bit. And he might be listening. A good friend of mine named Chase Courtney, and he was from Alexandria, Louisiana, which a lot of people consider North Louisiana. I think it's like kind of in the middle of the state. And his nickname was Gutter Rat.
Gutter rat.
Just because he's from Louisiana.
Just living them gutters.
That's it. That's the only reason. I mean, I think our coach nicknamed him that. Our DB's coach that came in with June Jones, Coach Odom. He's one of my
If
favorite
you
coaches.
are
of all time.
lacking in nicknames and you were still young enough to play on some sports team, a coach will give you a nickname. It's just the way it goes.
Well,
What was your
we can give some
nickname?
nicknames.
E.
E.
Yeah.
Like error?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a lot of errors. So.
I thought it was E because it's like red panda, and there's an E in there.
EG, right?
Yeah.
Eej.
Yeah, that's it.
Eej.
So, JP France and
Everyday gangster.
Lay McNasty up in here. We'll probably have them on the podcast here very soon.
Did you have a nickname?
I didn't really.
I didn't either, really.
No. I'm trying to think.
They called me T. Jones because we had a Brandon Jones.
Mm-hmm. I know Brandon Jones.
Yeah, this is a different one.
Yeah.
But yeah, they called me T. Jones all the time.
I don't even know if they ever called me, but I played a lot.
Hey, linebacker.
Yeah.
Linebacker, you got to fill that gap.
That's it. 52. I bet I got called by my number a whole
Blue
lot.
52.
Yeah. Peyton Manning knows me well.
Omaha.
Yeah.
Omaha.
And he's got a brand named Omaha
I think
now or
so,
something,
yeah.
right? What's he doing with that?
I forget, but
I don't know. Is that like a charity thing?
No, I think it's like a Omaha podcaster maybe or something
Oh.
like that Peyton's doing.
I had a buddy text me the other day. He said, "Have you ever watched the Monday night deal with Peyton and Eli?" And I was like, I've heard it's pretty funny. He's like, it's just really cool because you're just sitting there, like they're just watching games like they probably would be doing in their living room.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're at home watching a game together and just kind of like, I feel like it, I don't know, the way he explained it was like it wasn't too, like, it wasn't like a coach. It
Yeah.
was just like, you get some cool commentary and insight, but like it's not like over the top and in your face. And it's
It's
just
not a Tony Romo just telling you
they're
all.
fixing to run
Yeah.
274. It's unbelievable.
Golly, man. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I watched the thing on Tony Romo the other day. It's kind of sad.
He's a sad guy.
He
shouldn't have gone to Mexico.
He really regrets that.
Yeah, I bet.
Really, really does.
That was like the bane of his whole career, I feel like, man. It's like, I don't know. Tony, I'm not going to say him.
Tony, if you're listening,
I don't need to enter
I
this
love you,
conversation
man.
because Eric's such a huge fan of Tony.
Dude,
I
the
am,
people in
dude.
your family are not fans of Tony Romo.
No.
I love Tony Romo. But
He's fine. There's just like a few things that I think
Yeah, sure.
were a little overrated.
yeah, well, so same with me, man. The Lay and JP are out hunting, and we're taking it easy. We're kind of doing some cooking stuff, hanging out. We'll do some hunting later in the week, but we're kind of like playing like host. Not really guide, but just like we told them to come hunt with us. And I'd rather them.
hostess because that's
Yeah.
what I'm going to eat a lot of this week.
I bought some fun rounds. I figured we could do some fun stuff with some fun rounds. Yeah.
5'3", 300 pounds.
That's it, dude. We're gonna make us some burritos, as I call them.
Dude, I told my dad
What?
the other day.
The burritos?
Dude, you've been adding A to everything, man.
You cannot say "oh."
No.
Like, I've
No.
noticed that.
Nah. That's why we say "nah," man.
You're
'cause
the
I don't-
exact opposite of Michael.
That's
Like,
it.
When you
He-
say window, like you can't
Window?
say
Window.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I don't say window.
Willapilla.
Yeah, listen, guys. How bad would it be if I went around?
There's one I could not remember it. I wanted to tell my dad about it the other night.
Avocado?
No, it's like it's outrageous, dude. I can't remember what it is. It's one of the more like it almost is like the opposite of sensible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I can't remember what it is. I'll come up with it at some point.
I mean, if it has an O at the end of it, I pronounce it with an A. That's just every word.
Colorado. How do you say-
Colorado.
Yeah.
Colorado or Colorado sometimes with an R.
He's been doing Colorado since I met him.
Amar- You probably say Amarillo.
Amarillo for sure.
Amarillo, morning.
Oklahoma. Put an A at the end of that
That's
one.
it. Is yeah, for sure, man. Yeah.
Hey, this is what we talked about that ago. If y'all haven't watched this hunt that Tyler went on for his mule deer is really awesome, but I'm gonna try to not be too distracted by it on TV. Anyways, we're out here doing some hunting in Texas. Texas has a crazy long rifle season.
Yep.
And we're gonna get into a very cool rifle hunt story here in a bit, but there is some controversy in the world of rifle hunting. And I don't mean just some Illinois bull that Eric brings up in here.
Whoa.
How long is the rifle season in Illinois?
We
0.
ain't got
That's
that.
what I thought.
0.
But what I do mean is that the state of Missouri in particular has a rifle season that that sits right in the later days of prime rut. Like, I wouldn't say it's like prime, but it is good. And a lot of Missouri residents don't like it, and a lot of them do because they get to shoot a lot of deer. But there's like a paradox involved with this that I kind of wanted to just bring up and have some conversation about. Texas doesn't have that. Instead, we have 2.5 months of rifle season, pretty much, depending on how the dates fall. It's usually the first Saturday in November, and then it'll run through the first Saturday in January. So about 2 months, but then there's like some extra seasons in there for doe and spike and this, that, and the other. So you can hunt deer with a gun in Texas a whole lot. In Missouri, I believe it is 10 days. Isn't it right? Isn't it 2 weekends in a week? Isn't it one of those types?
Sounds about right.
It's shorter.
It'll be similar to Oklahoma too.
Yeah,
like,
Oklahoma I think is 2 weeks, right? Isn't it?
I don't know. I think it's like 2 weekends.
Is that it?
I thought it used to be 2 weeks, but I know there's a lot of like public land hunts that are 9 days. So I feel like they were just mirroring the season.
Maybe so,
but I don't know. Maybe not.
But either way, it's shorter, right? And so the juxtaposition that I want to make is that it almost would seem that people are more conservative with their shots, not like as far as risky shots, but just taking shots, and hunt at a slower pace and maybe don't shoot up the woods near as much on a long rifle season versus a Missouri or Oklahoma where it's like, we got a short amount of time to do this. Let's all just hit the woods and just plaster things as quickly as possible. I would like to see more stats on this. I'm really bringing it up more than I am solving problems, because it's something I've been thinking a lot about. Not that I have a lot of control over the regulations on this stuff, but I would like to think that we as a people can stand up to tyrannical forces and tell them, hey, we don't like this regulation, or we do, or whatever, and here's what we think about it. So, Tyler?
Missouri's 10 days, and Oklahoma looks to be about 2 weeks.
Okay. So what do you think about what I have to say there? Do you think that you weren't listening because you're looking at it?
I heard what you're saying.
Yeah.
Standing up to tyrannical forces.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's the main point, right? But do you think so? Missouri, our friend Sean Luchtel talks about this often, and Sean's a sensible guy.
He has a show called Heartland Rifle Hunter.
Yeah. Sean is not a fan of the Missouri rifle dates, as are other Missouri hunters that I know. Adam Keith, Matt Dye. Talked to Matt the other day on Rut Fresh Radio. If you aren't listening, we're hosting Rut Fresh Radio on the Wired to Hunt feed. It's probably the best thing on the Wired to Hunt feed.
Oh, dang, dude. Don't listen, Mark. Don't listen.
Don't worry. Anyways, they're very outspoken in a tasteful way about how they don't like it, and they wish that it was at different dates. And I just wonder if the social pressure from those 10 days is worse than the 2 month long rifle season that our deer endure, because people there are like, there's a 3-year-old, only got 4 more days, I need to shoot that thing. Whereas now it's like, you see a 3-year-old in Texas on the 15th of November, you got like over a month to see that deer again if you want to shoot him.
That's a good point. I don't know. The first year I got my property and hunted the ranch buck. Many people might remember. There was also another buck in that video that I went full draw on at one point. And he was a really nice, like probably 140s type 11 point. He was basically a mainframe 10.
Did you talk to him?
Yeah, he was super nice.
Super nice.
He had an inside tine. And this deer was probably 5 or 6 years old. I had a little history with him. I don't feel like going through in the whole story right now. But so I end up shooting the ranch buck on the 30th of November, I believe it was. And on, I don't know, in the middle of December, like near Christmas, I believe, maybe even after Christmas, I find out that one of the neighbors has shot with a rifle an 11 point and cannot find it. Mm-hmm. I believe that neighbor has a fairly small property, so I don't know how much they were able to like leave their property and get permission to go elsewhere, but never found the deer. I consequentially, or maybe correlated, I guess, did not ever see that deer again. Mm-hmm. And it had to have been that deer that was shot. And so looking at that, I I feel like you make a good point, but there's also this thing where it's like, if you hadn't gotten your deer by, Christmas break, then you're going to have some spare time around the holidays that you don't have to work. And guess what? It's cold one day, and that deer wants to eat at a feeder in your backyard, and you can just shoot it from your back porch.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, man. I still think that, like, the 8-week season is just terrible. I think that it's you're right. There's like this fast and furious.
Well, to clarify, I'm not saying one's better than the other.
No, I know.
I'm bringing up just the idea of them being different.
Sure.
Yeah.
And maybe pitching that might be more intensive for harvest or whatever. But I mean, I just think that, like, if your rifle season is 10 days long, there's probably gonna be a lot of people in the woods in those 10 days, right? Mm-hmm. There may or may not be negative impacts to what the deer are doing. And so there may be less chance that each person kills a deer than they would have had if there was not such an influx of people into the woods. Mm-hmm. So maybe those people aren't getting deer or as many deer as they would like during that period, whereas over an 8-week period, things change. There's second ruts. There's all kinds of things that can happen that make deer move. Mm-hmm. Cold fronts. I mean, we haven't had hardly any cold fronts like since October. We've talked about.
This is probably the best one since.
Yeah.
That we're having right now.
I mean, so you think about a 10-day season versus we're now having a cold front. Almost the first cold front of the year for rifle season. I don't know, 6 weeks into it or whatever. So if you have an 8-week rifle season, it helps you to hit a cold front when you have an Indian summer type of year or whatever you want to call it. So. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to it's probably not even quantifiable and not like something that you can actually come to a conclusion on in any study.
Here's the deal.
Unless you're a certain organization that loves to come to conclusions.
That's exactly right. If your acronym of your society ends with WD, you probably will find some data to support whatever motive you have. And so, like, I can see a world where the Texas rifle season could change because they'll do whatever they want to.
Yeah.
And they'll follow the money. And so I'm probably getting in trouble right now. Sorry, guys.
I don't know. At least it's you, not me.
That's right. That's what I'm known for, saying the controversial things. But if you got a brain, you know it's true. Anyways, so how bad would the social backlash be if they cut the Texas rifle season in half?
Bad. There are a lot of gun owners in Texas.
Isn't it wild? And that's why it would get it would get framed by the other side as like it's an attack on gun rights, and hunter opportunity and that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying better for worse. I'm just saying that it's crazy to me that bow hunting wasn't legal until the 70s in a lot of places. Mm-hmm. And then now you look at these other states, like Illinois, for instance, you don't have a rifle season. There's a shotgun season, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if y'all can use the walled cartridge. Can y'all use a 350 Legend? Do you know?
You're asking the wrong guy.
There's a muzzleloader season, I guess.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, so like there's a couple of those things going on, but they're short.
Mm-hmm. It's usually a weekend.
Yeah, and so like it's bow hunting bounty only. Mm-hmm. And it's weird how like things just completely swung the other direction in a lot of these other states. And it does make for good deer populations and good age structures and all that stuff, but at the same time, I mean, there's a reason why Texas is known as a hunt state.
Yeah, I'm trying to look right now to see. So paid. I'm looking. Well, this is fishing licenses.
Isn't it 1.1?
I think it's over $1 million. Yeah.
I think it's 1.1 hunting licenses. I believe 1.1 million.
It's trying to give me fishing licenses, fishing and hunting licenses. It says on this.
Well,
okay, here we go. Here's the hunting graph. Texas, 1.15.
1.15.
I don't know when this article was written either.
So
PA is the next one at 984.
Well, that's a lot because PA probably has less people overall, so per capita it's really high.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you're talking about 1.15 million. And
1,150,000 people.
And you take guns out of the mix, and here's the thing I realized the other night. This is literally something I realized this week, I think, is that people, I'm going to say it here, guys.
Uh-oh.
People like the thought of hunting more than they like actually hunting sometimes.
Do you mean hunters like the thought of hunting, or do you mean – Yep.
And I realized this because I'm having some conversations.
We talked about
recently.
this.
Yeah, I think we did. But people love to – I talked about this with my dad too. So people – the reason – we talked a lot about actually Texas antler regs the other night, and this is where this conversation came into play, where I said that guys don't want to fight against the 13-inch rule, and dudes love to say there's a lot of dudes that are like, oh yeah, he's just 16-inch wide buck, man, I didn't shoot him, They like to say that like as if they're trophy minded or they're management minded, and they want to make bigger deer, they want to shoot big deer and stuff. But I truly think dudes don't want to deal with the deer after they shoot it. I believe that. I think that is the number one thing with antler regs that people just are on board with. And I think that in the same way, it's hard to archery hunt, and you have to get close and you have to put in time. And today in our society, time is not something that we have much of.
And that's why I think that crossbows are so readily embraced.
Yeah, you don't have to practice.
Time in.
You sight it in and it's ready to go. You don't have to practice.
You probably should practice a little bit, but it ain't nothing compared to a bow.
You should, I think, right? But for sure, it's not like an upright bow. But like I've had a good buddy tell me this, so I'm not just saying this statement, just like we're throwing it out there. I mean, he's told me like, hey, I sighted that thing in. I hadn't shot it since. I go out there and I smoke a deer with it, like 3 months later or whatever, Yeah. And I think that to me, I guess that's what I'm saying is like, so the reason that rifle hunting could never be shortened in Texas in any near future, I don't think, is because the general population loves the ability to take a gun that has been sighted in for 15 years and not have to shoot it except for added deer that year when they see one that they like, and they like to go get in a box blind and sit 150 yards away and not worry about the wind and not worry about moving and sit there with their kids, which is good. But like, it's just a little bit, I'm not saying this, I don't want to say this in like a super negative way, but I think that guys take it as an opportunity to be lazy, and lazy in the hunting sense. But I think if this is what you enjoy doing and you want to relax, I'm cool with it. I'm not trying to hate on it. I'm just saying this is the thing. This is why rifle hunting is going to still have an 8-week season.
I also think that there's an inverse function type thing going on with Texas being the lowest public land availability state and the longest rifle season with the most hunters.
Yeah.
Because
I think you're right.
It's an economy thing, because there's no public to go on, so people lease ground in Texas to hunt deer on. So what we do, we're here on a deer lease.
Yeah.
In Texas, it's a thing you do here. It is common practice. It is the way it's done. If you were a public land hunter in Texas, which I have been, you don't get to hunt much. That's just it, And so
you get to see
that
much,
rifle season allows guys to make good on their investment in a lease, because leases are not cheap. They range, right? But everybody's going to pay at least $1,000 to hunt deer usually. If you're not, then you probably aren't seeing a lot of deer.
Well, and to kind of bolster your point a little bit, think about if they took rifle season and pinched it into 9-day season, 2 weekends and a week, dudes aren't probably paying.
That's where I'm getting.
Money.
That's where I'm getting. Like,
sorry,
they wouldn't do it. No, it's fine. But I'm glad you understand the same thing I am.
Yeah.
It would severely impact the economy that drives the Texas hunting force.
And you said this before we got on the podcast. People don't understand Texas.
Yeah,
they don't understand how massive it is. If you're literally talking millions and millions and millions of dollars would be lost in economy value.
Yeah, if people stopped leasing ground.
Yep.
And I get it. It's extra income for landowners. But you know what? somebody in their family worked hard to own that land,
Yep.
you know, and they deserve that income.
Yeah.
You know,
Guess what?
it's
Them
the way it
dudes go
works.
spend money on trucks.
That's right.
And then people who work in truck factories get money.
Yeah.
People who work in chip
Hey,
factories.
listen, we're in a little bitty town in Texas right now that right now the number one economic driving factor outside of Christmas buying is going to be hunters.
Yeah. We're paying for an Airbnb
That's right.
right here in this town.
And
this
I
house wouldn't have an owner in it probably. You know what I mean?
Guarantee you. Yeah, this house would have a renter or something, you know, or
Yep.
it might be pushed down at this point in time. Who knows, right? But like on the Airbnb listing, it says hunters welcome like at the top.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like a thing that's there's a daggum ibex on the wall in here, you know.
Yep.
There's a Neil guy in our room.
That's right,
You know,
dude.
like they know who they're appealing to.
Yeah, well, they know that the Kings are going to be up in that room.
That's it.
Sure.
Tyler and I sharing a room up in here, just hanging out with the Nilgs.
Yep.
And have you touched the beard on that Nil guy?
I don't
Have
want
you
to.
touched the beard on this ibex?
No, I almost hit it with my head earlier.
Yeah,
It looks like Eric's hair.
it does. About the same color.
Golly,
it really
it's
is.
the same consistency too, dude.
Dang, dude. We
Same
need to take a picture
thickness.
with Eric in that thing.
Oh, for sure, Eric Ibex, dude.
Yeah, they were asking what kind of ibex it was. I'm going to tell them it's an Eric ibex.
Look like a sand one.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah,
You got a short-faced ibex, I think.
I think that's exactly
Yeah.
it. How'd you know?
But all that is the precursor to our discussion, or that was our discussion about rifle hunting, which, Tyler, I brought a 30-30 on this trip. I might shoot me a deer or 2 or 3 with that thing at some point in time. I am leaving here with a deer. We got
Let's
doe
go.
tags, and we got does, so I'm going to shoot a deer. Like, absolutely.
Let's go.
And then you brought have you ever been to, like, a big Cabela's?
Yeah, been a
and
while.
Have, like, the gun room back there?
Yeah,
That's what you
cool,
brought,
right?
I think.
The gun room.
Yeah.
I did. I brought 2 shotguns. One's a over/under. One's I think I brought a Nova in the other one. It's been in my truck for a week and a half now. And I brought a 6.5 Creedmoor that I won in a meat eater company contest.
How about that?
I outshot everybody. I talked about it a while back, but I was we got to compete against. I didn't outshoot Giannis because he wasn't in the competition. So, you know, but I outshot. I was in Steve and Cal and Phelps's group, and it was intimidating. Phelps is a good shot.
Yeah, I believe that.
And he actually had to teach me how to use the gun because I was like, I don't know how to do this.
He's
He was
pretty
like,
chill.
you press the button and it shows you your dope and you adjust it on the deal and hold a little bit for windage. And I was like, okay. And but anyway, so I got me a free 6.5 Creedmoor, which is awesome because I wasn't about to buy me a new gun.
World's most controversial round at the moment.
a bow. It is pretty controversial.
Yeah.
So you don't like it, do you?
Well,
Potentially.
I was open to it.
Yeah.
And the
Hasn't
window
done a whole lot of proving.
the window's closing quickly. I mean, I still am always pretty much going to stand by. Like, saying that a cartridge can't kill deer is like saying that my Bowtech bow can't kill deer.
Yeah,
There's a whole lot of other stuff going on.
for sure.
You know, and so we'll get into that
We
some.
talked about that with Lay earlier.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, he's shooting a 270, and I was like, that's a good round, man. He's like, yeah, it's just an old gun. It's no reason to shoot anything different. It kills everything I shoot with it. You know,
He got him a 3x9 Redfield on that thing, which, you know, ain't a great scope.
Yeah.
And he kills stuff.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, most of the country doesn't need to use a tack knob and dial in for 387.
Yep.
You know, like he's hunting in Louisiana and shooting deer at 90 yards, and it kills them dead.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's real cool when they drop.
Oh,
270, you put them on the ground, too.
Yeah, well,
as a big dog.
put me on the ground.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. We're going to get into your story. But, like, you grow up thinking certain things, and then as you get older, you kind of learn some stuff. Not that you were taught. Yeah, you were taught wrong. I was taught wrong. But I still appreciate everything I was taught. Otherwise, golly, what do
Sorry.
you got going on?
Trying
over
to get
there?
this bow out of my head.
You're like cuddling with your bow or something.
Yeah.
So growing up, I always thought a 270 was a small gun, and then the 300 Win Mag was a big rifle, and then my parents got me a 7 Mag because it was smaller than a 300. And then you grow up and realize those are like all magnums. So they're
Yeah.
all just kicking the tar out of you. They're, you know, depends on who's listening. all of you are going to be like, there's a lot of difference in those. But then for the general public, those are all about near the same thing.
Yeah.
At 100 yards, they're blowing holes in deer, and you're putting them on the ground, So it's just funny to think about this. And then we have the new stuff like the 6.5 come up, which you recently got to use on a hunt.
I did. I got to do some rifle deer hunting in Texas on public land, which was really cool. Really
wow.
fun. Yeah. And so it's there's
it's only you and like 7 people in the world that got to do that.
There's
year.
limited opportunity for sure to do that, and so I was very glad to get to do that. And so I was going into an area that I thought would have some pretty good deer. And I was going.
I don't know if y'all know this, but there are phrases within the element that you can't say. That's the one you can say it. There's no penalty, but it's just like
he was going or I was going.
Yeah.
Yep, that's off the books. So anyway, I thought there'd be some big deer around. So I'm like, man, I want to kind of hold out for a day or two and see what's around, and so Greg and I go out there because Greg's a gun hunter from Texas. He kind of gets it, so we're like, he'll be good on camera to understand how this goes and what to show, what people want to see when it comes to gun hunting and that kind of thing. And so me and Greg go out there. We stay in a hotel on the way out, get there the next morning, and we go out that evening. And this story is not super long because we go out with the plan basically, hey, deer are going to be moving off this property to some ag probably in the area, and so we're going to hunt deer that are moving that way. But really the idea was we set up on this little shelf on the edge of kind of a creek. And I don't know, we're probably 20 feet above like the bottom. It's all like it's like floodplain type stuff. We can see pretty good ways. It's open, pretty open. And we're high so we can see. Well, we're just going to sit there and wait for these deer to travel by, and we're going to figure some stuff out. I'm going to learn where are these deer like actually coming through and going to this ag source, this food source or whatever. Like, where are they going to come through? And then tomorrow we'll set up on that and see if a buck comes by. That's the plan. So we're just relaxing, dude. We're chilling. Sun's it's kind of warm. Sun starts to kind of go down. We had seen like 3 does kind of get up, move beds, and then eventually leave after they got up again. And so I'm like, I start glassing as the sun starts getting low, and I look over to the west, and I'm like, dude, there's a pretty big buck over there. And when I say over there, like 3/4 of a mile. And I'm looking through these 12s that Vortex makes that are awesome. They're razor, and they're just super clear. It's like the best binos I've ever looked through. And I'm just like, but they're 12 buys, so they can see pretty good. Like, I can see this buck is good, I guess is what I'm saying, from 3/4 of a mile. But I can't tell what he is exactly. I just see a big frame. And when he turns and, like, looks at me, he's wide. And I'm like, holy, and so I'm like, and he's with a doe, and they're kind of moving slow, but he's just shadowing her. So I turn to Greg, and I'm like, dude, should we go that way? Because it's away from the truck. I'm like, should we go just see if we can get a better look at him? I just want to know. I feel like his frame is big. He's potentially a shooter, And so Greg doesn't really, he gives me the subcontractor, like, passive, I don't want to make the decision because you might be mad at me if I make the decision kind of thing, And so.
But he did say something?
He did, yeah.
How about that?
It was like, I don't know, or something, And so, which I can't, hate him for that. I mean.
No.
You don't, it's something guys do. Anyway, so no real advice. So I sit there a couple more minutes, and I'm looking at him.
I think Greg prefers to be retrospective.
Yeah. Well, you can be right when you're retrospective, right? So anyway, we're sitting there a couple more minutes. I'm still glassing. I'm like, man, they're not moving very fast. And I start looking at the map, and I'm like, dude, we could probably ambush them pretty good right there, like in the direction they're heading. And I'm like, but they're kind of heading off of what we can hunt. Like, they could get there before we could get there potentially. And so, I'm like, man, I'm just sitting there thinking. And finally I'm like, all right, dude, let's just go. Let's just go try to get a better look at him. So we, like, pack up as quick as possible. Greg's still packing. I take a leak. We take off. And we burned like tons of ground down this like ridge system, and we drop down into the bottom. We burn more ground. I'm trying to check on them every once in a while, and we start getting fairly close, like within a few hundred yards, several hundred yards, to where like I feel like he might see us, you know. So we're kind of staying in the stuff a little bit. I'm glassing, and he's to my west, like I said. The sun's going down, and it is making it very difficult to see what he is. So I'm like, look, I'm glassing into the sun kind of. I'm getting a lot of flare and like just, you know, distortion essentially. Can't tell what he is, but he looks big. So we get like I think we get like 380 from him or something, and I still cannot tell what he is other than he's just got a big looking frame. BLF. And I mean, I'm like, I got a 15 power scope on that gun, and it's a Vortex as well. It's an awesome scope, but I still, because of the sun, I guess, cannot tell like what this deer is. I'm looking at him through the scope, which I don't know if that's appropriate or not. I know a lot of guys do it, but like, you know, Greg asked me later, like, you know, is it? Do you feel like, you know, looking through your scope and stuff is something we should show on camera? And I'm like, I don't know. That's the way I've always done it.
Man,
you know?
Me too.
I got my safety on, my finger off the trigger. I'm not, you know.
Lay and I were talking about this morning. I was like, asking if he had bino. I was like, he said, no, man, I just look at him through the scope. I was like, yeah, that's how I always did too. But I go out with buddies that were from West Texas, and like they use binos until it's time to like put your finger on the trigger. Mm-hmm. To me, I'm like, man, I keep my finger out of the trigger guard. I can just do whatever. You know, I mean, it's just an optic.
Yeah, and
I'm with you.
We like kind of like, I think we used my bag as like a little lean-to or whatever, and I'm sitting there looking, can't figure it out. So I'm like, all right, I start looking at the map. I'm like, we can't get any closer going at them because we're about to crest this hill and just be in the wide open at 380 yards. They're going to see us for sure. So I start looking at my map. I'm like, man, we can cut up this little draw right to my north here, and then go down essentially a 2-track on this place that goes almost to them. We hop up over this like nice, like, I don't know. What do you think a cap rock is?
Do you mean like height? Or?
If I said cap rock, what would you think of?
I would think it'd be like a cliff face with a like smooth spot on top kind of thing, kind of like rim rock almost.
Is it vertical straight down pretty much? It's like a cliff. It's not like
cliff that goes
a really tall
down
hill
into like a steep erosion based gravel.
Okay. Well, I don't know if this would qualify, but it was a pretty steep but small hill.
Yeah.
And it had like some bowls and some canyon type stuff in it. Mm-hmm. And that's where they're heading into last I saw them. So I'm like, we can just do this. So we take off. Dude, I'm sweating. You know, like too many jackets on for this. Didn't plan to have to go this far.
Uh-huh.
But I still can't see him. So I'm like, all right. Essentially, I can make this really short. We walk down that and up over this, what I wanted to call a cap rock, with this hill, and there's a saddle, and I'm like, we're just gonna walk over. It got real quiet. We're gonna walk over real quiet. He's gonna be in there locked with this doe in this little bowl in the middle of nowhere, and I'm gonna get a look at him. Well, I walk up over, and I see a deer head, and it's him, and he's at 90 yards looking right at me. All I can see is his head. I don't know if they heard me coming up or what, because it got real quiet and the wind died. And
was he like spooky, or was he like thinking you're another buck?
He was alert.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he was really spooky, because he's looking at me, and Greg stops, and then he all of a sudden, like probably 30, 40 seconds into it, we're just staring off. I don't have a gun shoulder or nothing. I can't even see his vitals. And then I hear a blow, and it's the doe that's with him. And he turns and looks at her, I believe. And I'm like, all right, Greg, here we go. And so Greg comes up. I still don't know what this deer is exactly, because it's like after sunset. And so everything's gray in Texas. If you don't know, these deer are very gray a lot of times. And Greg comes up, gets it on him, focuses quickly. He does a really good job of that most times. Whenever he gets that camera up, he finds the deer quick. And I'm like, are you ready? And I'm looking through my scope. I'm like, this thing is wide, dude. And I can't tell a whole lot about him, but the frame is there. So I'm just like, well, we're here, and I'm sweating. I'm fixing to shoot this thing, you know what I mean? And Greg goes, yeah, I'm on him. And I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yep. Pull the trigger. and to my surprise, he's still running. And I saw a bunch of dust below.
That's weird.
And I was like, did I smoke the ground in front of me? And so I rack one, I shoot again, I rack one, I shoot again, and he drops. He's running downhill, just drops like a sack of potatoes. When we go up to him, and a few minutes later, and turns out I didn't miss him. And, I mean, he's an 18-inch wide, like not on a huge body deer too. Like he is a big deer for his body. You know what I mean? Like he was a big deer. I was told he was 5 by somebody who looked at the teeth, and he was like a mature deer, big body, for that area even, and he was 18 inches wide, but he's just a little bit short up top, but he's a solid 8-point.
I thought he was cool.
He's awesome. He was awesome. And so, but, you know, I was kind of a little bit regretful at first because I was like, man, it's the first day. Like, should I have waited? It's a weird feeling, you know. And people like to say, I don't ever want to be regretful because, you know, it's like not valuing the deer's life. And it's like, well, I can't help what I felt in that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, people that hit a deer with a Honda Civic and kill them aren't very regretful either, you know, except for their car.
Yeah.
So, like,
you
know.
So, yeah, it's a good point. But anyway, I did for a little bit, and then when I had a guy that I trusted his thought stick his finger in that deer's mouth and say he was 5.5, I was like, okay.
That's what you're after.
That's what I was trying to do. You know, I just didn't know for sure because, we've been shooting some giant Midwestern deer. And, you know, this deer, I think he dressed like 143 or something like that. So a solid buck, but like my Kansas buck might have dressed 200. You know what I mean? So it's just a different looking animal, and you just don't know when you've been shooting South Dakota deer that are, you know, eating willows all summer, you know, and stuff. So
yeah, they look way different in South Dakota deer.
Yeah, they do.
But
it was awesome.
Deal.
Like once I found that out, I just had a lot of peace in the situation. It made me feel a lot better. And now I'm really just, it was a, you know, I look back on it and I'm more regretful about the fact that I was regretful, but I understand like it's just a thing that happened, you know, and now I'm like, that was really cool actually to go shoot that 5-year-old deer. So.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
By the way, very cool. And, you know, what the people like to hear is that they eat good too. You know what I mean? Like,
meat eater, right?
That's right, man. Meat eater. But for real, like, it's just like people go too far one way or the other on that stuff.
Dude,
it's like
everything.
You're excited about
everything.
Everybody's got to be polarized, man.
Yep.
It's got to be a North or a South Pole. It's just how you are. But we equator boys around here.
That's right, bro.
They're just right in the middle. We eat them and we like them antlers,
a couple of tropic Texans.
That's it. So the question on every deer hunter's mind is, how do you feel like the 6.5 did on that whitetail? Can you kill a deer with a 6.5?
Yeah, you can.
Apparently.
Yeah. I was surprised that he ran after the first shot. We looked at the first shot, and it was like a frontal, and it went like base of the neck. His face, I mean, he was downhill, so, I mean, it should have smoked everything.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's weird. And I don't know. I was using ammo that says competition ammo.
Yeah.
But that was all I had.
But it's a boat to a hollow point. So, if anything, it should expand too fast, if anything, I think.
Yeah. Well, he was running. I think he's running dead. But, like, the third shot dropped him like a rock. So, I do know that, you know, it can drop him. But I don't even think I saw him flinch after I hit him that third shot.
Yeah. Were they high shoulder or something?
Well, it was mid-body, but it was quartered away real hard, so it hit the offside shoulder.
Yeah.
You know, that's what dropped him, I guess.
So, would you like to know what I think?
Yeah. Would love to.
There's a video on the Meat Eater channel. It's the thumbnail says Big Boars on it, but the title, I think, is Texas Hog or something like that, right? With Garrett Long and the Element Boys. You should go watch it if you haven't. It's like what y'all probably like about what we do on the Meat Eater channel. I mean, it is an East Texas deal. It's one of my more favorite videos that we've made, just because what we were doing was a lot of fun. A lot of John boating and hogging and all kinds of stuff going on in that video. We'll link to it in the description below. But in that video, Garrett is using a 6.5. It's a semi-auto 6.5, so it's an AR-10, but it's a similar, and it's the same round. And I believe same bullets, or same. Yes, same cartridge and bullets that Tyler shot this deer with. And the first shot that he puts on a hog might have hit some kind of brush or something, but I don't think it does. But it hits the hog on the point of the shoulder, and the round just kind of disintegrates, and the hog runs off, and he has to finish it off later. And between that and your experience, I know the kind of shot you took on that deer. 90 yards with a high-powered rifle, frontal, should drop a deer in place. Unless you hit him like really low in the brisket and it's like just bottom of the heart or something. But I'm now more of a skeptic of the round than I used to be.
Yeah.
But it's like I think I mentioned earlier, I have 2 bows, all right? They're both the same speed bow. And one of them I got 416 grain arrows with some expandables. And the other one I got 535 grain arrows with some big expandables and some fixed blades. I can promise you they are 2 different tools at this point in time, right? So that's how I think the 6.5 is going to be. I think it's just in that middle range where if you take the right shots with the right animal and the right ammo, then it's very effective. But there's probably I think this is why guys shoot 270s at deer. You don't have to worry about that. They're just going to kill them dead. There's none of this, let me find the right ammo. You can go get Core-Lock 270s, and you're going to kill every whitetail in Texas with that thing. It ain't going. They ain't one that can survive it, right? And so, I think that maybe the 6.5 is the fiddler's gun. What's the right word I'm looking for? Like the guy who likes to mess around. Likes to tinker around with stuff.
Tinkerbell.
And so it's a cool gun. It's very flat shooting, low wheat recoil, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, it was. I was surprised. I mean, I was able to – the last 2 shots were really quick. I mean, I was able to pull it off really quick.
Yeah, and that's because the gun's not flying everywhere because it's kicking the tar out of you, right? So you get back on the animal quick. So I think that it has a lot of positive attributes, but you probably – it just sits in that weird range of they're not magnums, so you got to kind of have some things dialed. Kind of like a 308 or a 7mm 08 or a 243. All of those guns kill plenty of whitetails, but it's not the same thing as a magnum.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're going to test it on some hogs, I think, sometime this spring or summer and try to have a better idea. But it's a cool gun. It's a SIG Cross, and it kind of looks like an AR platform gun. Yeah. It's kind of cool.
It's got a modern chassis on it, but it's a bolt, which is yeah, I like it. I like the folding stock on it. It makes it real easy to transport.
It's really cool, man. But yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it's a cool place. I wish we could have been there a little bit longer. We'll put a video out. We actually went out and hung out on the place a little bit longer just to, because there's so many quail around and all the wildlife and stuff. Man, it was a neat place. I wish I could have spent a little more time there. But then we went from there to hang out with you. And we'll have to get the rest of that story on the next podcast here in the next couple of days.
Man, I'm excited to tell that story.
For sure.
It's good stuff, man. But good stuff on that buck, too, man. I know you're looking forward to that hunt. It's kind of cool to shoot something with a gun.
Yeah.
Eric's never done it.
I shot a turkey.
You did? Smoked it. That's right. I was thinking about I should have said rifle. Yeah. Do you have interest in shooting things with rifles?
Yeah, my goal is to draw a late season elk rifle hunt one day.
Oh,
you can pull that off. Are you trying to shoot a bull or a cow, or does it matter?
I'd like to shoot a bull.
Do you have an adequate amount of warm clothing
Hopefully.
Or do you know someone who can maybe
I know
supply
some
you
people.
such? That's
I know some
good.
people.
Late season elk hunting is not for the faint. Well, I'll tell you what. Never mind. We won't get it. That's an off podcast conversation. Late season can be really cold.
I got some ideas
Yeah,
for you.
for sure. Me too. That's cool. What are you going to shoot them with?
Need to figure that out.
Are you gonna?
I don't know.
Well,
we'll cross
don't
that
tell
bridge
Lori.
once we
But are
get
you
there.
potentially procuring?
Well,
a,
I'm a Texan now, so
That's right, man. Still don't tell Lori.
Lori doesn't need that.
Lori doesn't know.
Well, guys, there's a lot of deer season left. Get out there and hunt with rifles or bows or whatever you want to. Have a good time, and remember, this is your element.
Live in it.